You really should not hit forehands on the backhand side. Today I'm going to tell you why. I'm right-handed. Everything left of my center line should be a backhand. So everything up here, and here, and here, and down here, even to the inside of my right knee, and then vertical from here, all of this should be backhand shots. You may see some people hit forehands on the backhand side, particularly when they're high, and up in here they'll have this forehand paddle orientation instead of this high backhand paddle orientation. I think this is a bad thing to do, and here's why. This high forehand on the backhand side can work pretty well. I'm not going to claim that it doesn't. It's not a bad shot. The problem with it is as that ball gets lower, then I start dumping that ball into the net because of the angle of my paddle. It's very difficult for me to roll this paddle around and get enough lift on it, and at some point that ball starts going into the net. If I have the habit of hitting these high backhand shots with a forehand, then my challenge is, where in a game do I figure out, oh, this needs to be a backhand and I need to roll this around? Where's that decision point? Because somewhere in here, this shot starts to fail. This forehand starts to go in the net on average, and so it's not a good shot. If I'm doing this real time in a game, am I quick enough mentally to go, that ball's too low, I need to roll this around and hit this with a backhand? And that's where the problem is. It's very difficult real time in a game to go, this is too low, this is now going into the net, I should have hit this as a backhand. Your job then is, when you see people do this in the game, hitting a forehand on this high backhand side, is to start targeting their backhand side with lower balls. If you can do that, then it's likely that they're going to continue the same motion, still having this forehand on the backhand side, and at some point more of these balls go into the net. I'm going to turn sideways. Maybe this will make more sense. Have my little visualization tool on my paddle. Forehand on the backhand side, that looks like it's going over the net. I'm not arguing that point, it will. As this ball gets lower then on my backhand side, if I'm still using this forehand, you can tell that's starting to go into the net. It's impossible or very difficult for me to roll this paddle around and get any lift on this ball at all. So those are going to start going into the net. If you see somebody doing this, start targeting them on their backhand side with lower balls, you'll get more of them going into the net. So if you're hitting these with forehands, you feel like it's easier, I get it. These high backhands can be hard to hit, can be hard to generate power, and they can be hard to control, but that's why we need to drill. In the long run, it's going to be much better hitting these with backhand motions, because then we don't have to figure out when do we need to roll this around and hit a backhand. These will all go over the net. If we practice those well, we're not hindered by the inability to roll the wrist around and get any lift on that ball if we're trying to hit that with a forehand. Another thing is, if you've been hitting these high balls with a forehand on the backhand side, that can be a very difficult habit to break. I know, I coach people that do that. It's tough to break once you get going. The best thing to do is to drill, hitting these with backhands, and then trying to keep, from your ready position, both hands on this paddle and bring it up here. If I'm here, I can't really keep both hands on the paddle if I want to hit that with a forehand. I've got to let go with my non-paddle hand. So drill as much as you can, get more proficient with this high backhand, and you'll find you don't need to do this, and then you won't get into the trouble or the problem when this ball is low on your backhand side.